Hi there, I'm Valerie, and to launch my IGTV channel, I am going to be hosting a crochet-along. I'm super excited, so I am going to be sharing with you how to make the snowy owl that I designed. In this video, I'm going to go over what materials you need to make the snowy owl, and then we'll actually get started crocheting on the next video. So the first thing you're going to need is some burnout blanket yarn. You're going to use almost the entire ball of yarn, so make sure you start with a full one. Secondly, you're going to need some worsted weight yellow yarn for the eyes and the feet. You're also going to need some worsted weight black yarn, not nearly as much as I have here. This is just what I have on hand, for the eyes, the nose, and the talons. And then lastly, for the yarns, you're going to need some DK weight white yarn to use in shaping the head and also attaching the feet to the body. So in order to use that, you're going to need other materials. You're going to need a yarn needle, a pair of scissors, some pins for assembling. And as far as crochet hooks go, you're going to need a pea-sized hook for the majority of the animal, and then we will use a G-sized hook for making the eyes and the feet. Another thing you'll need, which is a little different from most amigurumi, is you're going to need a pair of nylons. So the reason for this is because when you're working with bigger yarn and a bigger hook, you end up getting holes in your project, and you don't want the stuffing to come out or to be able to be pulled out by little fingers. So you're going to use a nylon. You can either do black or white. I chose to do black for this animal because Bernat doesn't make a ball that is white with black flecks, but snowy owls often do have black flecks. So I figured that the little tiny bits of black you see through the stitching kind of works as the black flecks for the owl. So the very last thing you're going to need is a whole bunch of fiber fill. Probably a 24-ounce bag, just to be safe. It doesn't look like it would take an entire bag, but it does. It takes a lot to get one of these nice and plumply filled out. So now that you know what you need, go ahead and gather your materials. In the next video, we will begin crocheting. We will start with the white Bernat yarn and the pea-size hook on line 1. All right, take care, and I will see you when we start crocheting. Hey there, it's Valerie, and today we are going to begin our snowy owl crochet-along. So this is going to be the animal that we are making. And to begin, we are going to start with a pea-sized crochet hook. In millimeters, that's 11.5, and a white ball of Bernat blanket yarn. As we go through this crochet along, we will be using the hashtag #SnowyOwlCAL. I'd love to see your pictures as you guys post your progress, and I'm excited to get started. So the first row we are going to start with for our snowy owl is going to be magic ring, and then we will crochet 6 single crochets into the ring. So to make the magic ring, you hold it across your 2 fingers, with your thumb anchoring it on your ring finger. Wrap it around so that there's an X, and then just kind of hold it there with your thumb as well. Flip your fingers over, put the crochet hook under the first one, and you have to kind of hold it loosely so that this works. Grab the second one, pull under and twist, and then go under the second one here and pull it through. And that is how you get started. So this one does not count as your first crochet, but this one will. So we're going to do 5 more, just like that. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then the magical thing about the magic ring is that you can pull on your yarn tail and cinch it up. Now to mark the beginning and ends of rows, you can use a stitch marker, or I just like to use a thinner piece of yarn so I can kind of work it back and forth in the project, then just pull it out when I'm done. So the next row is going to be increase 6. So in each one of the 6 stitches we have, we will be doing an increase stitch. So at the end we will have 12 stitches. Let's get started. So to do an increase stitch, you put 2 stitches in one stitch. So just work our way around, increasing. And it's a good idea when you do this to also, when you do reach the end of the row, to go back and count your stitches. So I know I sometimes get a little bit spacey and I don't always put in the proper number of stitches. Alright, so let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. Alright. Now to begin the third row, I'm just going to fold my black yarn over. If you're using a stitch marker, you know, we'll switch it over when you need to. But the third row is single crochet, then increase, and we'll do that 6 times. So at the end of the row we will have 18 stitches. So single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. And if you've made amigurumi before, you're going to notice that there are some differences when you work with a thicker yarn. You know, this is a chenille style yarn, the burnout blanket, and where most amigurumi is made with like DK weight or worsted weight yarn, this reacts kind of differently. And so in some ways you have to work a little bit looser. You know, if I pull this apart, you can see the holes in the stitches. When it's just laying like this, you won't see it at all. So you need to work a little bit looser so that, you know, with this chenille style yarn, if you work too tightly, you kind of lose your threads. You almost can't see the stitches. So you have to work a little bit loosely, but not so loosely that when you try and stuff the animal, it's going to take a ridiculous amount of stuffing and that it won't hold its shape. So it takes a little bit of finding, working with it and finding your, I guess, ideal tension and knot strength. All right, so there we go. That is the end of row 3. So to begin row 4, we're going to do single crochet 2 and increase, and then we'll do that 6 times. So you can see as we go that our circle is getting bigger. Right now we're following a pretty basic formula for increasing the sides of the circle for a project worked in the round. On the next row, we will be learning some new stitches, which will be fun, hopefully. I actually invented the next stitch we will be doing, so I hope it's fun. I hope it's something you guys can take and make your own. Maybe come up with cool projects using it. All right, so finish this increase, and this brings us to the end of row 4. So for row 5, we're going to be learning the feather stitch. And as I said before, this is one that I invented. It's similar to the sequin stitch, but it has a continuous chain across the top, so it works really well for amigurumi. So here it goes. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through as if you're going to begin a typical single crochet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drop the hook out of both. Make sure you do not lose this loop. And we're going to insert our hook into the second, and we're just going to chain 8. And you're going to work kind of loosely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to go back, and you can see we're going to work through the back loop of each one, and we're going to insert it through and then just pull the yarn through. We'll work through the next back loop, pull it through, and again just all the way down. Alright, so now we have all of these stitches gathered on the hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through like that. And so now we're going to flip the stitch so it lays down this way. And we're going to pull the hook out of that loop that we had. We're going to insert it back through this first loop, and then through the loop we just dropped. And we'll yarn over and pull through. And so that is the first half of the feather stitch. So then to secure the feather stitch and to finish it off, instead of just going straight into the next single crochet, we're going to go, if you look at the feather, we have these holes in it from the loops that we pulled up. So you're going to go through that last loop like so, and then you're going to insert your hook through the next single crochet. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those, then finish it off as though it had been a normal stitch, and that's just what's going to keep the feather in place. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to do an increase stitch. And then we'll do one more feather. So I'll go ahead and show that to you kind of slowly one more time, because it is a little bit complex. So yarn over, pull through as though we were starting a typical stitch. Drop both of them, and if you need to, go ahead and put a stitch marker in this one so that you know you won't lose it. We'll chain 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we'll work back through those back loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yarn over and pull through all of that. Flip the stitch down. Put your hook through the first loop, then that loop we were just in. Yarn over and pull through, creating a continuous chain across the top. Then to secure the stitch, go through that last loop and through the next single crochet. Yarn over and pull through both of those. Yarn over and pull through to complete. And do our increasing stitch. 1, 2. And we're going to do that 3 more times. So as I begin this last feather on the 5th row, I thought it was important to tell you that the more loosely you work when you're making the feather stitch, the bigger your feathers are going to be, and the tighter you work, the smaller they will be. So if you make a really loose chain like this, and then when you work back through, if you pull it out a lot, pull your yarn through a lot, you're going to end up with a much bigger feather than if you work tightly. So you can see already, like, the first one I made was probably the loosest, and this one is the tightest, and there's definitely a difference in the size. So keep that in mind. If you want bigger feathers, work a little bit looser. So 1, 2. All right. So to finish the feather, we secure it, then we'll do an increase stitch. Then to take us back to finish off the row, we're just going to single crochet 9. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is the end of row 5. So for row 6, we're going to be doing a single crochet, then doing the feather stitch and a and an increased stitch, and we'll do that 6 times. So it'll be the first half of row 6. So here we go, we're going to do a single crochet, and then we'll go ahead and do our feather stitch. And so the reason why we're doing a single crochet and not going straight into the feather stitch is so that our stitches are not directly overlapping each other. They will be offset from each other and have a more realistic sort of pattern to them. Go ahead and pull that all the way through. Flip the stitch down. Finish the first half of the stitch. Work through that last loop. And the next single crochet, go ahead and join it together, and then do an increased stitch next. So we're going to do that 5 more times, doing the feather stitch and then an increase stitch, and then we'll go from there. So now we've finished the 6 feather stitches, and we're going to be single crocheting 4 and then increasing, and we'll do that twice. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put an increased stitch here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase for our last stitch. So for this row, row 6, the total should be 37 stitches. Now we're going to begin row 7. So for row 7, we're going to be doing a feather stitch and then a single crochet. So far we've been doing increasing stitches after our feather stitch, but this time we'll just do a single crochet. We're going to stay at 37 total stitches for the next couple of rows before we begin decreasing. Alright, so once we secure the feather like that, we are just going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to start the next feather stitch. And we're going to do that 7 more times, so we'll have a total of 8 feather stitches. So once you've finished the 8 feather stitches as well as the immediately following single crochet, all that's left to do is to single crochet 13 stitches across the front. 12, And 13 brings us to the end of row 7. Row 8 begins with a single crochet followed by a feather stitch. And after the feather stitch, we'll be doing a single crochet, and then we'll be repeating that where we do a feather stitch followed by a single crochet 7 more times for a total of 8 feathers. Now we're beginning our second feather stitch. So we've just finished the last feather stitch as well as the single crochet following it, and now we have 12 single crochets left to do to go across the front. And that brings us to the end of row 8. You can see our owl is starting to take shape here just a little bit. Row 9 is going to be the same as row 7. We're going to do a feather stitch and a single crochet, and we'll repeat that 8 times. That's our single crochet afterward. So we're going to do that same pattern 8 times all the way around, and then we'll pick it up again when we get to right here. So we've just finished our 8 feather stitches and the single crochet following the last one, and now we just have to single crochet 13 stitches across the front. And that will bring us to the end of row 9 and put us exactly halfway through with making the body. All right. End of row 9. So I will see you in the next video where we will start on row 10. All right, row 10 begins with a single crochet and then a feather stitch, which will be followed by a single crochet. So this row is the exact same as row 8. over and pull through all of our loops. Flip the feather over. Gather our first stitch and our last stitch. Then secure the feather. And we'll do a single crochet after that. So you're going to repeat that same pattern, doing a feather and then a single crochet afterward 8 times. So here we're just finishing up the last feather stitch. And the single crochet after it. Now all we have left to do is to single crochet 12, and that will be the end of row 10. And 12. That brings us to the end of row 10. And on row 11, we're going to start doing some decreasing. So row 11 begins with a feather stitch, followed by a single crochet. Right, form the feather, flip it over, finish the knot, and secure it, followed by one single crochet. So we'll go ahead and do that 7 more times for a total of 8 feathers. And then we will pick up again right here, and then we're going to start doing some decreasing. Alright, so I'm just finishing up my last feather stitch and single crochet following it. And now what we're going to do across the front. So we're going to do a decrease stitch, then a single crochet 2, and we will do that 3 times, and then we'll have one last single crochet on the very end. So I guess this is a good moment to, if you don't know how to do the invisible decrease, I'll show you how to do it here. So you can see that there are 2 loops in each stitch. And what we're going to be doing to do the invisible decrease is you're going to grab the front loop of the first stitch, and then also the front loop of the next stitch. So you have 3 loops on your hook, and then you will yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull through the next 2. And so that's how you do an invisible decrease. Now go ahead and single crochet 2, invisible decrease one more time, grabbing both of those front loops, pulling through, invisible decrease, and 1, 2, and our last single crochet right there. And that will bring us to the end of row 11. All right, the first half of row 12 is going to be the same as the first half of row 10. We're going to do a single crochet and then the feather stitch, and we'll have the feather stitch followed by a single crochet repeated 8 times. Alright, so we just finished that 8th feather along with the single crochet immediately following, and now all we have left to do is to do 10 single crochets across the front. Ready, set, go! It's a race. I shouldn't have said it's a race. Now there's pressure, I can't crochet. There really are some people out there who are like crazy fast at crocheting, and I would not say that I'm one of them. It takes me a little bit longer than a lot of people. And done! So that is the end of row 12. So the beginning of row 13 is the same as many rows before. We're going to begin with a feather stitch followed by a single crochet, and we will do that 8 times. So we just finished the 8th feather. Now we're going to be decreasing and then single crocheting 2. Decreasing one more time. Single crochet 2. And then finish it off with a decrease stitch. Oops. All right. Now you can tell we're really starting to get some shape here. So that is the end of row 13. On the next video, we are going to need the nylon and the fiber fill. We're going to start stuffing it so it's really going to fill out. All right, I'll see you in the next video.